Beautiful audience, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Now, one of the things that frustrates me the most with crowdfunding, and some of you might not know this, is that more than 50% of campaigns will fail. So if half of you in this room, or if all of you in this room launched a campaign tomorrow, more than half of you would go home disappointed. And that's not the sort of the statistic we're looking to push. It's not the trend that we're seeing now. People are getting better at launching campaigns and launching new products on the site. So I'm not here just to talk about Indiegogo. I do want to talk about crowdfunding more generally, some of the trends that we've seen in 2018, and actually give some more go-to-market advice for anybody that's looking to launch a new product or service. So crowdfunding is fast becoming the go-to-market strategy for companies. But it's not just the entrepreneur running a campaign from his garage or his kitchen. There are lots of other big businesses now getting involved in crowdfunding as well. Here are some of them. And I want to just give you an idea and a bit of a taste of sort of what some of these companies have actually done with us in the last couple of years or so. So Bose, launching a new product with us late last year. What are they doing on the Indiegogo platform? Some of you might say. We're seeing an increase in the number of corporations that are actually getting involved in crowdfunding and now launching new products via the Indiegogo platform as well as others as a way of testing the market and seeing whether this is something consumers actually want to buy. Motorola, running competitions so that people like us can design new accessories for their latest smartphone range. I mean, that's really exciting for me, and for a brand to get involved in that so early on, I think is absolutely incredible. P&G, again, launching new products on the platform, testing the market. Is this something that consumers will buy from us? And can we sell directly to consumers in the way that, as we heard earlier this morning, Coca-Cola are now doing via Amazon? The industry for crowdfunding is growing, and I've got some pretty outdated statistics here, but there's not an awful lot that's currently available. In 2012, the market was an estimated $2.7 billion, and then in 2015, that had risen to close to $35 billion. And we've seen some really exponential growth since then as well. But launching your campaign, I mean, this is the most exciting thing for me. I've been in the industry now for close to 5 years, and in that time have worked with hundreds of companies and entrepreneurs and raised probably a few million, if not tens of millions of dollars in that time. Bulgaria. This is a statistic that I pulled earlier this week. Over $1 million raised in the last few years. 637 people have given it a go on the Indiegogo platform. I think that's pretty impressive, because from our side of things, crowdfunding, particularly in Eastern Europe, there's so much more potential there to go. And one of the things I'd really like to encourage, and everybody, please do get in touch with me after today. But if you've got a great product that you want to take to market, let's have a look at the ways in you can actually do that. Crowdfunding also means something different to lots of people as well. So I want to just try and explain the sort of 3 main types of crowdfunding that are available to people. Perks crowdfunding is sort of where we operate for the most part. Look at this as a pre-tailing opportunity. You're selling your product in advance of it actually being manufactured. Equity crowdfunding, you are selling a percentage of your company in exchange for investment, usually from a few hundred, if not a few thousand people. And loans, peer-to-peer lending. These guys have taken on the banks really quite seriously in the last few years, and in my opinion, are absolutely winning. Now, why would you use a crowdfunding platform to launch your product, launch your idea, and sort of what stage do you need to be at to be able to crowdfund successfully? Number 1, customers will pay for your manufacturing. So the main benefit here, and the main reason most people consider crowdfunding, is for the money. Let's be blunt about it. You need X amount of $100,000 or whatever to be able to go and manufacture your product before delivering that to your end consumer. But there are also other benefits as well. And this is one of the main reasons why we see these big corporations also turning to crowdfunding to launch their next product, save on some R&D costs. Research and development is cost them tens of millions of dollars every year to develop and launch these new products. Then they have to send them to their retailers. So they've got to go through the entire product cycle before they can even get them in the hands of the consumer. And it's also a lot about attracting additional investment from people as well. So if you've got a campaign and you raise $2, $3, $4 million, that's online. That's online forever. That's something that you can show to your investors. That's much better than a business plan. You can go to a bank if you want to, or you can go to a VC and say, last year I raised $2.7 million. I've got 30,000 new customers for this product, and I want some investment to launch my next product. Because most of the entrepreneurs that I talk to are already thinking about product 3, 4, or 5 by that point. But crowdfunding is hard. Don't get me wrong, it is not easy, and that's why the success rate is so low in a lot of ways. There's a real formula that you need to follow to be able to do crowdfunding successfully. Here's a 5-step plan. We go through this plan in a lot more detail with entrepreneurs, and I perhaps work with 15 to 20 new entrepreneurs every couple of weeks that are looking to launch a campaign with us. But the number one thing that most people don't spend enough time doing is planning. You've got a plan for everything: marketing, communications, and PR, product design. How much is it going to cost you to ship product X from China? And what's the most cost-efficient way to be able to deliver that to my customers in Hawaii, in Australia? You know, this is a truly global go-to-market opportunity for a lot of people. Team, I've heard in the presentations already today that team is one of the most important things. You need people around you that can offer the skills to be able to. I couldn't make a crowdfunding video to save my life, not at all. But I can certainly turn to an agency or a videographer that does have the skills to be able to do so. Positioning, how you're actually selling your product. What is your brand message? And how are you going to actually put that out there for the world to see? Your materials, also something that people tend to forget about when they're actually looking at their campaign. And when you do see those campaigns that raise $2, $3, $4 million and then ultimately get delayed, or they don't deliver the product, or you're still waiting for your product to be delivered, quite often that's because they haven't spent the time looking at what infrastructure they need. Have they got manufacturing secured already? If not, that's probably something they need to go and do before they actually launch their campaign. And the final thing, and another incredibly frustrating thing for me personally, is not spending enough time building a community. If you look at it in this way. If you went home tonight and thought, right, Saturday night I'm going to organize the greatest party I've ever had at my house in 2 days' time. If you don't send out any invites, but you've spent all the money on alcohol and food and everything else, nobody's going to come to your party. And it's exactly the same with us. You can put the best campaign page together in the world with the best product, but if you don't send traffic to it, nobody's going to see it. So, the top 3 tips that we have when looking to launch a physical product, usually in this case, but this also applies to equity crowdfunding as well. Launch with a working prototype. Have something that you can physically show to people on your video. Something that gives them a bit more confidence in you as a creator. This is something that ultimately can be developed. Have your manufacturing secured. and launch with an engaged and excited audience. Really important. So, 5 key learnings. Now, this is off the back of 10 plus years that Indiegogo's had in the crowdfunding space. And an awful lot of campaigns that have come through and funded successfully with us. These are some of the advice that we had from some of these campaigners. Only launch when you're absolutely confident that you can generate 30% of your goal within the first 2 days. Statistically, that number means that you will have a very, very high chance, in excess of 90% chance, of reaching or exceeding your goal by the end of the campaign. Use digital advertising. Facebook, Instagram, Google, they're all our friends. You need to really push on the social media side. Crowdfunding is incredibly social, and there can be some real impacts made if you're using an existing crowd on social media. Just give me a second. I'm pressing the right button. So that's where we'll stop. No, I'm joking. That's all. There we go. So start planning your campaign. Give yourself 4 to 6 weeks before you launch, especially on your community building. If you can spend that time nurturing and growing, ideally an organic audience, but if you're using paid social, even better. What the one before? Discounts can drive contributions. The idea is that you won't necessarily be making much money on the items that you sell within the first few days of your campaign. You want to offer the best discount possible, get people's attention, get them coming in, get them buying and sharing your campaign. And then after week 1 and towards the end of the campaign, the prices that you're charging are higher because the lower priced items have sold out, because you've driven that interest. So the margins by the end of the campaign generally are those that have paid for that initial traffic that you've sent through. So I mentioned trends. I wanted to give you an idea of what's cool in 2018 and what we've seen on the platform, really making some waves. And here are just some of them. Some of you might have seen that Atari actually briefly took our site down yesterday, just for a few minutes, because they launched their new console and raised over $2 million in less than a day. That's phenomenal. That's exactly the type of innovation that we want to see from big companies. Smart luggage, phone and accessories, audio equipment is one of our biggest categories, and e-bikes. A small team in Denmark, a brother and sister, raised $6.7 million in the last year through Indiegogo. They didn't have a business before they launched their campaign. 30 days later, they've got a multi-million-dollar business and over 85% share of the Danish electric bike market. That's incredible. That's exactly the kind of innovation that I'm looking to support. Thank you very much.